Welcome to Personal Mastery Training. I'm your host, Alvin Brown, former world class athlete turned entrepreneur and consultant. Join us as we learn from guests who have conquered their inner battles and share their journeys to success. Get ready for inspirational masterclasses and thought provoking strategy sessions to fuel your path to personal mastery. Let's dive in. Hey, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Personal Mastery Training. I've got a special episode. I wanted to, for the past, goodness, it might have been 8 to 10 years. I began this Sunday connection with one of our hosts here, co-hosts. This is going to be a group chat. This is going to be a Mastermind Alliance episode format. And I'm going to do it once a month for you to let you in give you the passcode to a private meeting that I've been having for about 8 to 10 years now. And it began as Dr. Charlie, who I'll introduce, he and I started talking. We met at a seminar, a mutual mentor of ours. And I'll mention him because I owe him so much. Dr. Tom Hill. He had his Eagle Summit, and we met there, and we kind of hit it off. And we thought, let's just connect and have a quick call. And that quick call probably went a few hours. And we thought, whoa, and we didn't even finish it. We just felt like we're scratching the surface. So we said, I meet next week. Same thing. Next thing you know, it's years have gone by, and we've added to the group. Brandon is here, and we'll let him introduce himself as well. And there's another co-host who will be on soon, Raymond. And it's been a wild ride over the last few years as we talk about life. And the way this is set up, and we've had a few other people come on here, mind you. That this is an early call, by the way, so it's not for everyone. It's those who can, carve that time out of their day, and we get it done so we can get to the rest of our lives and the family and so on. So the whole conversation, the whole format is this. It's not a debate about, narratives in the society. It's an introspection in life because we don't have the answers. None of us have the answer to that. But what we do is we call it the Sunday breakfast table in a way. And each person brings their own serving to the table. So someone will bring a meal, an idea, and someone will say, hey, I can add the gravy to that. I can add the dessert. I can have, whatever. The entree. Someone brings something else. And before we know it, we have a sweet meal by the time we're done. So that's how we kind of roll out the Sunday. And we invite anybody to the cookout. If anybody when they show up, if they like what they saw, it's an open deal. But we just make sure that this is not a place where we argue about narratives on what's going on in society. This is a place where we come and look at what's going on in the human journey. So we call it the Sunday Wisdom. We call it the Mastermind Alliance. And we just go back and forth. And if you like what you hear, this is what's going to happen once a month. I want to feature this group. And so this is the way it started out, looking at life, introspection, dissecting. If you've been listening to my podcasts, it's about looking at life, the simple things that we overlook in life. The answers are there. As you may hear me say often, and this is not my wisdom, I took it from someone, but don't get through life, get from it. Because if you just get through life, it's a tough grind. It's a long grind if you're getting through it. And you never really learn, actually. You just get through it and you deal with the next one, the same thing over and over again. But if you get from it, you take the wisdom, and the next time you face that thing, you'll squash it. But if you continue to struggle and get through it, you're going to see it again. So that's what it's all about. And my passion is the 30 years I've spent listening to everyone. And when I say everyone, what you're going through, I've felt it in some way. What you're struggling with, we've all felt it. I don't care if you're male, female, black, white, whatever, Muslim. Those are all, for me personally, those are all noise. That's noise. Deep down, we all want the same thing. I don't care where you are, what religion, what
We basically all want to be happy. We want to live out our purpose. The rest is noise. You know, what religion you are, what political side you're on, and noise, noise, noise. If we all put us in a room together quietly, we'd all find out that we want the same thing. So, that's what we want to do is dissect the noise and get down to the real meat of what we all struggle and strive for. So that's the intro of how we flow on this Sunday breakfast, this Sunday wisdom, and I'm going to share it with you all. So now let me introduce. I'll go to the next person is Dr. Charlie Cartwright. Dr. Charlie, let our audience know who you are and your passion.
Well, thank you for hosting this, and it's an honor to be a part of your personal mastery podcast, Alvin. So really appreciate that. Number one, number two, appreciate your friendship and this all the wisdom you shared with us over the years on this call. It's been a transformational and life changing for me. So I want to make sure I give you your flowers on that because I
Amen,
won't
brother.
be here without you.
Appreciate you.
So for me, I'm a person that's really passionate about people and helping people, right? And any way that I can help another human being, I'm in for. And whether that's holding the door open or saying hello or shaking someone's hand. It just anything that I can do personally to encourage another human being to have their best day, to have their best life. That's what I'm about. Now, the vehicle that I'll typically use is my professional speaking platform or the leadership trainings that I deliver or workplace safety training. I'm very passionate about those things and I have a talent, a gift for speaking. And so I'm able to use that vehicle to really speak to people in an authentic way, in a way that helps them both personally and professionally, which is really exciting. And like Alvin, I'm an avid reader, and I really love the process of learning. And then one thing about this call over the years is there's no debate. However, sometimes you do get challenged. And I think when we're seeking personal mastery, we have to be willing to have our beliefs challenged, or we have to be willing to have our process challenged because there's always a way that you can improve and get to the next level. And once you get to the next level, you'll see and discover that there is indeed another level. So it's constant improvement, enhancement, and sometimes you know what you know, but then, Alvin or Brandon or Raymond will bring a fresh perspective. And then you'll look at a challenge or even a mastery from a different perspective than you've never seen it before. And now your understanding of that particular subject matter is enhanced. So I really love this call and love the opportunity. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
And I'm just gonna say, Dr. Charlie brought up a point that I wanted to let's keep with the metaphor of the breakfast table. Here's the beauty of this breakfast table. When we have leftovers, we take the leftovers back to someone else. When I come with an idea and the group adds, when I come with a meal, hello Ray. Ray is
Hey,
here,
what's up,
everybody.
guys?
Ray's
I
here,
made it.
everybody.
I made it. Sorry for being late this morning.
No problem, no problem. I did a little introduction, and
Mhm.
we're just talking about Dr. Charlie first got on and introduced. Brandon will be next, and then I'll get you on. So everybody, this is everybody at the breakfast table right now. And what I was going to continue to say was the metaphor. If we continue with the idea, the metaphor of the breakfast table, everyone bringing a little bit cornbread, someone brings something else, someone brings something else, and we finish with a nice meal at the end. Here's the beauty. We have leftovers every single time, and guess what we do with leftovers? We take it back and we feed whoever will accept it. So Dr. Chow will leave with an idea, and he'll go to his seminars and present and expand and share the meal. I will go and you'll hear it on this podcast. Oftentimes I tell you where it came from. The impetus and the idea comes from this meal, and I share it with you. And if you get fed off it, this is the beauty of this group. So we continue with that. So now I'll pass the mic over to Brandon, and Brandon, let everybody know about your journey and who you are.
Yeah, well. I so I haven't been a part of this for the 8 to 10 years you guys were mentioning. It's amazing. Just in the intro, I've already got a whole page of notes here. So from the, some leftovers, if you will.
Yeah,
but,
there you go.
Yeah. So by trade, professionally, I'm a safety professional and have been in the construction industry for 27 plus years. But I'd say personally, very much as a lot of what Charlie said as well. I'm a people person, right? I love people and helping people and want to see them succeed, and have in the past few years gotten into a place of speaking publicly, and traveling around, and that has opened up other doors and opportunity, which is how I met Charlie some years ago, and now I'm here with you all, and it's an honor and a privilege to be a part of the Personal Mastery podcast. And I just can echo everything that has already been said about this group and what Charlie has said. I'm not going to regurgitate it by any means, because it's not of value, but the leftovers is real, and the challenge Charlie talked about is real in challenging our perspectives sometimes, and that next level, fine tuning our belief, or what we believe to be true, if you will, when someone like-minded is able to, or even not like-minded, to bring a different perspective, and if you're willing to be open-minded to that and listen to understand, it can definitely get you to that next level.
Love it.
So it's a great opportunity, honor to be a part of this group and be on the podcast with you today.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm going to add to what Brandon and Dr. Charlie said. Was the reason why we're on this is you can't, a wisdom a friend shared with me, and I'm going to share it with you all too. You've heard me, some of you have listened, heard me say it. You can't see the frame of the picture that you're in. So if you're in the picture, you can't see your frame. And the beauty of having a mastermind alliance or another idea coming at you is they allow you to see your frame and where you might be going off course, where you could tweak it, make it better. There's no man or woman is an island, so it's nice to have that input. Now we'll move on to Ray Janoc Tanya. Ray, I'll let him introduce himself. He's coming on the group. Ray's a new father, so every so often Ray will have the fatherhood, and he's a very engaged father. So every so often he'll have that fatherhood where he's either changing diaper or something going on at his house at this time of the morning. And so here he is. He's arrived. Ray, welcome to the table.
Hey, what's up? What's up, guys? As usual, it's always an honor to be here every single Sunday morning. I would say for the past, I'll have to check, for the past at least 3 years now, 3 years, maybe more. This has been a staple for me. Okay, so to talk about my story real quick, at a young age, I come from a family of people who showed me the importance of contributing to something, okay, and always looking to be the best version of yourself. I grew up around sports, especially football. This is a sport that gave a lot to me in my life, growing up here in Montreal, Quebec. Coming from Africa, the journey started off rocky, as we can say. We left a lot of things back home to start over here. But again, this game gave me so much and so many values that up until today, I find it's very important for me to contribute and transfer some of these values to make an impact on somebody else's life. As Alvin says, I'm a father of 2 young boys, and one thing I realized is that I had a lot of mentors in my life that made a big difference for me. And the more I can mentor other people, especially young people, it all comes around. Not only that I win by giving, they win, but maybe one day my sons win and other people win because they have great people to look up to. They have true leaders to look up to. Professionally, after football, I got to be, in the business world, owning a sports performance center myself. I got to be in leadership roles for different organizations where I learned a lot. And I'm still in that learning process where I'm rapidly accumulating a lot of, let's say, a lot of experiences, a lot of wisdom. I'm checking a lot of boxes, but in the end, just like Brandon, Charlie, and Alvin, every time I've been speaking over the past few years, which I've been involved in a lot, every time I've been coaching, every time I've been telling true stories, you know, just really about the human potential, these are things that give me a lot of energy. So right now, as much as I'm doing everything professionally that I'm doing, I'm really heavily involved in this space where I'm using all these skill set, all these experiences to give back to athletes and help them win, you know, within but far beyond the game, also, which is the goal. So this group that we have, these calls that we have, definitely help me sharpen myself, not only as an entrepreneur, not only as a leader, but also as a man, and helps me contribute also to help sharpen my brother. So I'm very, very happy to be here, and I'm very happy to be part of every single conversation that we get to have to contribute to the benefit of other people also.
Amen. Amen. That's why we're definitely here to sharpen our axe and so we can take it back and give it away, right? So here's a format. Someone throws an idea, a concept, a quote, wisdom, an experience on the table, and then everyone adds a spice to it, and we leave full at the end of the day. So I will start it off with a conversation. Here's what I want to put on the table. This idea of, so I was thinking about how to have a full life, a full day. If we can have a full day, a happy day, we need only 7 of those to make a full week. Then we need 4.3 of those to make a full month. And then 12 of those to make a good year. 30, 40 of those to make a good life. But everything my mentor said, everything starts small. So let's start with the day. So I was thinking about this, and I can't remember the genesis of this thought, but I was thinking, geez, you know, you ever had a meal or something you always wanted, a vacation to somewhere, your favorite place. Think about your favorite place that you've been to. And you stayed, maybe you planned, you know, this is going to be so good. I'm going to plan 10 days. Not the usual 7 where, you know, first you arrive and you need a couple days to wind down and you just start getting into it and then you got to start thinking about leaving again. All right. Some places it's too short. So I'm going to book 10 days. So you book the 10, but by the time you get to 7, you've had enough. And I don't mean it's a bad vacation. Just that's enough. I'm full. You know, this is good. It's time to go home now. I want to get back to some structure because this is good. This is great. I've had enough though of it. I want to get back to structure. So I got to thinking, geez, you know, why don't we plan our days like that? Where we've filled the days with so much goodness that by the time the night comes, the evening comes, and time to retire to bed, you've had enough. It's so filled with all the good things in your life that you want to do by your choice, by your options, that you're full. You're full. Instead of a day filled with things you don't want to do, you're drudging through the day. You can't, you can't wait for it to be over. So I was just thinking about that, you know, because I forget where I was when I said, you know, this is really good. I'm like, what did I do? I did these things and it was a good day. Why don't we just do that? You know, again, it's like eating the food, the steak, whatever it is that you like. But you have to push away from the table because I can't even eat anymore. So why don't we extrapolate that into the day? Why don't we plan our day that you can't even, This is like unbelievable because so many people just get through their day. It's filled with things they don't want to do, obligations they don't want to have, and who's creating that? We are the director of this movie. We are the director of the day. So I want to put that on the table. Can we have a day, and remember 7 of those, where you're just full? This has been a good day, good meal. I've had the steak's been good, the dessert perfect, but I can't have any more. This is great. I'm gonna leave some on the table. Why can't we do that with our life? So I'll put it on the table and I'm gonna pass the mic. Let's see what we got.
I'm gonna jump in, Charlie, before you lean in and get on this. Well, first of all, I know what it's like to be full at the table. Charlie and I just had dinner the other night, and that carrot cake, I ate all of it. I didn't leave anything on on that plate. He may have taken a little bit home. I did not. But yeah, first of all, that's beautiful. As far as this throwing this out here, that one happy day. I think for all of us, for most people, I'm gonna say all people, it's perspective, right? We go through life, society today, the world today has told us that, man, I have to do this, right? I got to get up in the morning. I have to go to work. I have to do this job. I have to do these mundane tasks at work to get to this next level or to get a paycheck, just the in and outs of your day, if you look at it from that perspective. And when there was a time, if we would pause, and if all of us on this call, anyone listening to this, would stop for a moment and think, there was a day when you started those mundane tasks, what they are now, right? And it's just this routine. And that day when you started it, the perspective was, I get to do this.
Get to, yeah.
Right. I get to, I'm excited to, I want to, right? I mean, think about what Ray's going through with a young child, right? Having to change diapers and all that, and being a father of 4 that are all practically grown and have moved out. It's a situation where, man, I'd give anything to be changing diapers again. In the moment, it was horrible. It was not the greatest experience, but I changed my perspective. As here I am, I'm nurturing and loving and cleaning and taking care of this human being, this, my offspring, if you will. And, that's one analogy or one way to look at it. But then also from just your day in and day out life, as a professional, whatever space you're in, there's tasks we're all going to do that, yeah, we don't like that aspect of it. But I think focusing on the perspective of, I get to do this. This is just part of it, right? It's a mindset, right? Somebody mentioned that earlier. I got that here in my notes somewhere. It's about mindset, and we're inundated by the world to think. I mean, you watch 100 reels throughout the day. I'll forget the stats on how much someone's on social media, but if you watch 100 reels, 30-second reels of 100 different people, and that 30-second reel is them on the beach or them in a fast car, this nice house, that's what we're really, in a nutshell, what we're comparing life to these days. And then we look at the paperwork or the meeting, the things we have to do rather than the things we get to do. Today I'm giving up half my day. I get to go to the Cardinals Cubs baseball game today. We own a suite. My company owns a suite down there. I've never been in a suite before in my life till I started working here. And I'm going to hang out with 20 other business professionals. And some people will be like, oh, the networking. No, I get to do this. I get to go meet 20 other people, that beautiful minds, successful people. What are they bringing to the recipe, right? To breakfast, for me, it's going to be lunch. What are they bringing to lunch? And not food speaking, but, wisdom speaking. And I think it's all about mindset. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Beautiful, beautiful.
No, that's awesome. Awesome thoughts there. And, Alvin, you said something about plan, right? And we've got to have a plan if we're going to have that full day, maximize the opportunities that we have for that day. I remember the years ago, I was in Atlanta, Georgia, going to a meeting, pulled up and had to go through security before you could get past into this building to get through the elevators and go up to the executive level. And I remember talking to the gentleman that was running security that day, and you had to go through a scanner, and then you picked up your keys, your wallet, your mobile phone, everything. And as I went to go down the hallway, I said, "Have a great day." And he looked at me and he said, "That's my plan."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "What'd you say?" He said, "That's my plan." I've never heard anybody say that before, right? But he said, "That's my plan." And I really have always remembered that we got to have a plan to have. It's not just going to happen. We have to plan for it to happen. We have to prepare for it to happen. And then when we have planning and preparation, then the next step is to make it happen, right? So I've never forgotten that. And that goes right with what you were saying there, Alvin. And then the privilege that Brandon talked about, it's have to versus want to, it's have to versus get to. And it's a privilege that we have to really grow and expand each and every day and have another day of life. These days are not promised. Remember last year, I had gotten back into town and my grass was growing tall, and I was like, I gotta address this, first thing. I just got off the plane, I changed my clothes, and I'm out there and I fire up the lawnmower, pushing the lawnmower. And to myself, I was thinking, I have to cut this grass. I just got back. I just want to relax. And then I remember, I have a friend that had a terrible accident when he was in high school. He's in a wheelchair. And I was like, he'd love to push his lawnmower right now. He'd love to walk around in this yard for the next hour, cutting the grass. He loved the privilege to be able to do that. And it really flipped my mindset immediately. And then I got a chance to enjoy mowing that grass because it's a privilege, it's an opportunity that we all have. And so our mindset is so critical to how our days end up being ultimately. And if we go into our days without a plan, then the results are going to be all over the board. However, if we go into our days with the plan, then at the end of the day, we can look back and determine, hey, was that a successful day or not? Was that a full day or not? And if it was a full day, now we've got a blueprint that we can then seek to duplicate and emulate in the days moving forward. With that, I'll pass the mic.
Nice.
There's so much in this conversation as usual, guys. Okay, so here's how I break it down, and I'll kind of reverse engineer it also. Okay, we talked about obviously having a full day, and from that thing is obviously the more you change your perspective, the better you can see the things that are in front of you, and the more you can, let's say, appreciate them, right? And that takes planning. But planning, why do we plan? Why is it so important? It's because it gives clarity. And that's one thing that I find that we get lost and we lose a lot of our energy when we don't have clarity in the end, okay? Because our thoughts go in every single direction. We try to do A, B, C, D. And then what happens when you do too much is that you get drained. You feel like you're always running out of energy. Not only your energy, but just your enthusiasm for simple things that maybe you lack. Maybe this is the indication that you're simply doing too much. So, what is planning really? In my opinion, planning is cutting out the noise, okay? Is making things as thin as possible, focusing on the essential and putting the essential first, okay, before anything else. And then creating a process where you can keep your eyes on what's most important and do the things that bring importance to these things in your life. Okay. I found this quote on clarity that I want to read to you guys that I find super interesting. It says, clarity is alignment. Clarity is a clear impulse of where to go. Clarity is trusting the path. Clarity is not standing in a wobbly place. Clarity is that momentum that has no resistance. And when you're in that place of clarity, the feeling of what to do next is right there. Okay. Let's focus on that word resistance. Okay. When you are losing that energy, it's because you're resisting something. There's resistance, right? And whenever there's resistance, it's difficult for you to know what to do next, okay? Because you have all these things in your mind. This drains your energy, and this puts you in a place where you don't know what to do. And you're always in that foggy place. And then you lose the enthusiasm for the things that truly, truly matter. So, like Brandon said, having the right perspective, so important. But I want to add that when you're doing too much, okay, when you're doing too much of what isn't important to you, of what doesn't matter, of the wrong things, it drains you. And I find that's where a lot of people are in general. So I say, take a moment to stop, okay, which is something we're not giving ourselves enough the gift to do. Simply stop. Okay, that's scary. Okay, because there's always something pulling you to do something else, getting you away also from your clarity. So it's only in that moment, okay, in that moment of quiet within yourself, where you can actually look at yourself, okay, where you can also channel the feelings you're feeling, but to find their source. Why are they there? Okay. Just observe them, and from there, create your plan. You know, create your plan. Listen to these things that are deep within. Follow the energy. You'll get to see what gives you energy and what drains it, right? You'll get to see it very clearly. And from there, you can direct, you can create your plan. And that plan, comes from the right perspective. And when you follow it consistently, when you have ways to look at it consistently, what happens is that whenever you get out the house and you face that resistance every day, and there are things pulling you left and right, you've prepared yourself. Okay. You've prepared yourself. You have tools, you have little things that can realign you. Okay. That can realign you, that can keep you on that path. And I believe this is truly what it's all about in the end. If you're going to have clarity, if you're going to keep the right perspective, if you're going to feel the right things, and ultimately do the things that truly matter, that truly matter. And that's where your energy seems to overflow. You have so much, that it benefits you, but it also benefits other people. Or on the other end, you can have your glass of water half full and get out the house. And from that moment you get out the house, you don't have a plan, you don't really know what you're doing, and you're just reacting to ABC. You're already being drained, and then your greatness can't be contributing to nobody else. So that's kind of how I see it. So obviously there's a big aspect of planning, preparation, but planning and preparation is so much more than what it simply looks like. Planning preparation aligns you, gives you clarity, eliminates the resistance, and put the right things on your field of vision so that you can follow them as everything pulls you left and right in life, because we do have our reptilian brains. As Alvin says, this is a hack. We're not meant to do this, right? But through simplicity, then we can truly channel our energies on the right thing.
Love it.
So I'll pass the mic.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Charlie.
And so I had to jump in real quick out of order a little bit because I had a massive epiphany and this is how it always goes on these calls. All these nuggets come in.
Charlie's a little greedy, saying he wants to jump in
Yeah.
front of the line, the
Yeah.
buffet.
Yeah. So this is the epiphany I had. And we've all talked about the planning, the preparation, then there's the execution, right? And when you have planning, preparation, and execution, you can create flow. And what the thought that hit me was that you think of a massive body of water. How does it overcome resistance? Flow, right? We all know when water gets flowing, it doesn't matter. You could try to put up some resistance. It's unstoppable. It's an irresistible force. It's going to go through it, around it, over it, under it. It's going to overcome. So when we create our flow, we're going to naturally overcome resistance.
Mm.
So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Amen. Amen. So there's so much here. I'm going to keep it succinct as I can. Yeah. So Brandon triggered off. He put a little spice in there. He started talking about have to versus get to. And in my practice of neurolinguistic programming, NLP, words are very powerful. When someone says, I have to go to the gym, I should and have to are a couple pressure words on the subconscious mind versus I get to. I get to go to the gym. That man in that chair you talk about, Charlie, if he ever got that opportunity, it would be a get to. I get to do this. I get to walk around that yard I might even be there for 2 hours because I get to. I've been sitting in this chair for 20 years. I get to walk. It's a big difference. Have to versus get to. Those who are full bodied, they're sitting in an armchair. Oh, I have to go do that because they have that freedom and they take it for granted, right? So, huge have to versus get to. Anything anybody's using the word should and have to, mentally it's a struggle. Whatever it is they're doing. Change perspective. Yeah, absolutely. Happiness is a choice, as they say. And we're not all gonna sit on this call and have everybody listen and think, oh, our lives are perfect here. We're sitting on going, we've figured out the secret to life is find perfect. It's not. It's not quote unquote. Life is perfectly imperfect. I've not met anyone who's living the quote unquote perfect life. We've seen wealthy, beautiful, successful people commit suicide because that's what everybody perceives. They check boxes. But are they truly deep down nourished and fulfilled? So it's a perspective. It's all a perspective. Change of perspective is massively huge. So that's a great point. So I wrote down here, the secret to that happiness that we were talking about is doing simple things extraordinarily well. Simple things. It's not doing the sexy things and doing them decently. That doesn't lead to happiness. It's taking the simple act, changing a diaper, and putting everything into it that way that diaper change, realizing that you're not changing a diaper. You are, you know, adding value to the family. You are teaching your son at a very early age how much you care for your son. Every time you change that diaper, how much you care about his, health and care enough to nurture him and that goes a long way. He's going to remember that, and don't believe, kids aren't hearing the 93% of communication that we do, which is nonverbal. They hear it. So again, as Brandon pointed out, it's how you look at it, how you frame it. He gets to go to this game today in a box, hanging out with people who have also decided to dedicate their life to becoming better, becoming their better selves. And hopefully he finds some good conversations in that box and leaves with more meals to bring back to this table. So how can you do simple things extraordinarily well? Social media. This is an interesting point that I pull out of what Brandon was saying. Sometimes those 30-second reels, 30 seconds, can be it's almost like having little snacks, throughout the day. They don't seem like anything, but the calories are adding up. Before you know it, you have an extra, right? You have an extra 500-600 calories, but they're just little snacks. Come on, man. They're not nothing. But I find that with the reels, as you say, they're consumable. They're so consumable and they're quick. But we don't realize we lost 30 seconds, then a minute, then a minute and a half, then 2 minutes, then 3, 5. You're on that thing. No wonder the numbers go up. They're very entertaining. They're very tasty. They're almost insidious the way they build up. Next thing you know, you're 15, 20, 30 minutes of those 30 seconds, bites in a minute. Hours. Yeah. Okay, they turn, and then you wonder where your day went. Where was that plan that you didn't make? But anyways, where's that plan to get the most? When as I said, the way I started this conversation was, how can you leave going, whew, you know what, the day can end because I'm full. Well, it won't end if you're snacking on food with no nutrition. It's gonna end with you feeling tired and dragged out and heavy and right? Because the quality of the food going in. So when we think about those 30-second bites, they are interesting. They're insidious. Take inventory, and this is Ray now. Take inventory and practice essentialism. Take inventory of what, if every day you get up, you're struggling to get through it. It's not ideal. You say, but you don't know my life. Well, as I said, we all have choices, right? Every single one of us. We're not telling anyone that it's silly to figure that we don't have challenges. But what we're saying is, if you think about it, take inventory. What don't I like about my current plan? What am I getting? What is a lot of things I have to do versus I get to do? Take inventory and start looking at the have to do's and the get to do's and start doing more of the get to do's and do less of the have to do's. Stop over promising people you'll do things you don't want to do. Say no. Because when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. You're saying no to the get to. You're saying yes. You're saying a lot of yeses to the have to and shoulds, but less to the I get to. And do 2 I get to's and not 10 I have to's. Right? So do the little things extraordinarily well. I get to, after this call, first of all, for me, let's talk about myself. I get to do this call. That's why I don't miss it. 10 years now, I'm not sure, whatever that number is. I get to do it. So despite staying up late, maybe watching the UFC, I get to get up and do this. And then after this, I get to work out actually after this. And then I get to hang out with my family and plan my week. A lot of my days I got to tell you, I have a really great plan strategy. The weeks go fast for me. And it's amazing. The things that are in my control and even the things that are not in my control, I can handle them because I do a lot of get tos. If my days were filled with a have tos, those things that are out of my control, they'd break me. Because it's just another thing that I have to. And so then I wrote here, bandwidth management. We only have so much bandwidth until we start to, things don't, think about your house, your Wi-Fi. If there's a lot of people on it gaming and using it, loading it up, very sketchy Wi-Fi. You come in and out, you can't get the reception. It's same thing as our bandwidth. How are you gonna have clean processing of the programming if your bandwidth is full with a lot of things being taken from it? And lastly, last little addition is this. Peter Drucker. I'll go to Peter Drucker's quote. There is nothing so useless as doing efficiently something that should not have been done at all. Peter Drucker, right? What's the use of doing this thing so well that you shouldn't even be doing it at all? Let's practice essentialism. and do the things really, really well, simple things, 2 or 3 things at the most, really, really well. Stay in your zone of brilliance. I was just saying on the call, I'll finish with this one. I'll just say on the call, before we got on this call, I was saying my business right now, but I'm telling you this because I did it. I spent a decade and a bit doing something, attempting to do something efficiently that I shouldn't have been doing at all. And here I am now, beautiful as it is, I'm now shifting and doing something really, really well that I love doing, and it feels great. So with that, I'll pass the plate.
You you mentioned it. You said no, saying no, and I just want a couple of things really short. You said you said no, and no's a full sentence, and most of us don't take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a world and a culture or professional setting that we've conditioned ourselves to believe that more is better, right? And you just admitted to that, Al, yourself, that you're right sizing what you're doing, right? To focus that energy. Ray talked about, the plan is now going to be made more clear, right? Being at that correct size. That quote, that's beautiful that you just shared. That's fantastic right there. Mm-hmm. I also want to bring up, we could probably have a whole Sunday morning wisdom on this, but I heard someone say some years ago that they counsel people, and individuals would come to them all the time and say, man, I'm going through this, or I'm going through this horrible situation. I'm going through, and fill in the blank, whatever that situation is. And his perspective was, well, that's great. And people would look at him and be, what do you mean? Didn't you just hear what I said? I'm going through this horrible thing. And he's like, yeah, but if you'd have said you're stuck in it, then I'd have reacted differently. But because you're going through, and it's what happens naturally in the animal kingdom, if you will. Bison are one of the few, if not one of the only animals that actually turns towards the storm and walks through the storm, because they know it's going to end. They know what's on the other end of that, right? And those, too often we get stuck in the moment of what we're having to do, what I should do, right? The noise Ray talked about in the world, in day-to-day life, and we're hung up on that, rather than, again, that perspective of going through it and what's on the other side, right? Because as you said, we don't all have it together. There's going to be hardship, there's going to be pain, there's going to be struggle and challenges in anything we're doing, even if it's with the right mindset of, I get to do this, right? There's still going to be that natural challenge, and sometimes distaste for what we're doing, but you're going through it, right? You'll come out on the other side at some point. And I think, again, the perspective, having that plan that shows the desired goal. A lot of folks, we talked about this a few weeks ago, having a vision board, right? And what does that look like, to help us with our plan and provide additional clarity and look ahead. So with that, I'll pass the mic, few extra pieces of ingredients to throw into that gravy.
Wow, that was an extra. that was an extra. You almost the meal almost got thrown off there. That was a lot, man. That was unbelievable going through it. Anyways, I'll let Charlie take that.
Yeah, that definitely some great wisdoms there. And one of the thoughts that occurred to me when you go through a storm is, when you come out on the other side, what did you gain? What did you gain? What nuggets of knowledge did you gain from it? And we've got to make sure that when we're going through those things, we're looking to grasp things that are going to help us navigate in the future, right? I think that's so critical. Then the other note, Alan, you said something really critical about taking inventory in our lives on a regular basis. And this Sunday is something I'm going to do from a business perspective, is really take inventory there's some tools that I need to set up in this office to keep my focus front of mind. And so, but you have to stop and take inventory. And and I think that's true personally, and that's also true professionally, because at times, if we don't stop to take inventory, then we're gonna carry things, on our journey that we shouldn't be carrying, right? Peter Drucker's point, that aren't serving us, or maybe it served us at some point in time. It's no longer serving our purpose. And so that could be a relationship, that could be, business partnership, that could be an aspect of our business, that could be a hobby, right? That is just not serving us. I mean, for me, one of the things over time that I've done over the years, because when I was much younger, I was a huge sports fan, and that's baseball, that's football, that was basketball, that was track and field, and then Olympic sports as well. And so, but over time, I recognize that I can't leave that much of my week to simply consuming these sports. So I had to start paring those sports down. And then and in doing that, I freed up the time that I have to pursue other things like personal relationships, business relationships, personal mastery, versus sitting in front of a television or in a stadium and watching a game. So I really had to take inventory of how much time I was using in that space, and then cut those sports down. And it really frees up time. And so there's things that I would never miss, big games and critical games before, and now that's a sport that I've kind of put to the side. So I used to be a massive baseball fan, and I still like the game and I like baseball, but the time I spend watching it now is drastically reduced versus what it was 30 years ago, because I've redirected that time to use in pursuits that are going to help me achieve my personal and professional goals. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
When you talk about baseball, for instance, it brings me back 100% to my situation when my oldest son was born, Noah, right? He's 6 years old now. I used to have my routine where on Thursdays I watch my Thursday night football. On Saturdays I was watching college football. On Sundays I was sitting down for a couple hours checking in a couple different games, right? And I remember when my son was born, it wasn't natural for me to be a father. It really wasn't. It was actually a big adjustment, and I really had to look myself in the mirror because there's a lot of things going on. And I realized, man, there's only 24 hours in a day, right? There's only 24 hours in a day, and I'm basically spending 4 or 5 of them, okay, in front of this TV, uh, watching football. When there's little guy that I just brought into the world, okay, that looks up to me, that needs me, is right there, and I'm basically choosing football, over him. And that really challenged me, right? And it made me look at every single thing that I was doing in my life and started weighting, the true weight of all of these things. So obviously I'm not telling people don't watch football, okay? But for me, I never watched a football game again, unless he was with me, unless we went somewhere together, because I just found he was that much more important for me than sitting down in front of the TV and watching football. So, guys, I never watched a football game again unless my son was with me, okay, watching it together. And that leads me to my next point, okay, is having a strong enough why. Because that's the problem I find with planning, okay, and really wanting something, is that life will still happen. Okay, life will still happen. So if your reason behind it, okay, isn't strong enough, or if your reason behind it is it important enough for you, it's gonna get very difficult, because there's gonna be these days when you do want to watch the football game, or when you do want to sleep in, and all of that. So that's like so important, right? Is the source what drives you in the end, and are you creating your plans around that why, around what truly drives you? Because this is what's going to make them sustainable, and this is what's going to see you through. This is the only reason why I've been watching football games, because my son's my why, and I know without the shadow of a doubt, it's that much more important to me than football, right? It even changed my perspective around football because that why was strong enough. So that's something I find, um, when people make plans, they don't necessarily take the time to really focus on that. Okay, as the nucleus of that plan. Um, I want to go back to something else real quick. I think it's Alvin that said the Peter Drucker wisdom, right? About efficiency, doing something that should not be done at all. That's so powerful and that's so true. Um, I just got done last month doing a leadership program with a local football program, okay? And we were talking about that because they're saying for this year, every team is got has a focus, for their season. They said it's chop, okay, chop. So they all imagine themselves with axes. They're in the wood, and the only way they're gonna get out because they're lost, is that everyone has to chop away. Everyone has to do their job, and that's what's gonna get them out. I challenged that, because in the end I said, hey, I love that. All you guys are ready to go. But if you're chopping the wrong tree, if you're going in the wrong direction, you're not getting out of these woods. You're just chopping away until you're getting tired and you have nothing else. And same thing now for the culture of your team, for the mindset of your team you're trying to bring into the season. Hey, if you're not communicating as people, okay? If you're waiting for your coaches to say anything, you're not taking ownership. If you're pointing fingers, it's that inefficient effort. You can get really, really good at these things. It's not going to contribute to winning football, you know? So that's the same thing where I find effectiveness should always precede efficiency. Efficiency. Okay, I'm trying to find the right words in English. Efficiency. That's for sure. And the last point now I want to get to you guys is obviously we talked about the importance of taking inventory, as we all said. But the way I see it, I could call it briefing. I see many organizations, many entrepreneurs that they get done with a project and they're happy. They got through it. They got through a storm, as we say, and then they move on to the next project, never taking the time to do a briefing to actually see what worked, what didn't. But then the successful ones I see, they do that religiously with their team. They brief. They brief so they get to see very clearly what should we do next that really works, what didn't work that we shouldn't be doing at all, They brief. And that's why I believe that clarity is so important, guys, because clarity brings you peace. Okay. Clarity brings you peace. Is because when I know what to take away, when I don't have too much on my plate, when I go where energy flows, I create my plans around that. I get clarity, but I get so much peace because when I am in that storm, which will come, adversity is part of it, right? None of us can escape from adversity. I can have peace within that storm because I can see things exactly the way they are. Okay, my mind is not going in every direction. I can focus on the one task I set out to do. So I'm relinquishing control, but I'm getting it back in the end because I understand that I am in control of how I react. I'm in control of what I do. I might not be in control of everything else on the outside, but that one thing, that one perspective, and that one action that follows, that's up to me. and it's always up to me. And I can find a certain level of peace in there, you know. And having peace in the storm is what separates the true warriors from the ones that, hey, storm comes, let's run away, guys, let's run away. We don't know what to do. We're running with our like chickens with our heads cut off. We got all these thoughts running through our minds. We don't end up doing nothing and we retreat. Okay, we retreat. So, yeah, man, effectiveness, peace, relinquish control to really get it back. And I'll pass the mic.
Love it. All right. We are coming up to that time. My belly is you know, I started this conversation off with planning that vacation. And Ray, I don't know if you heard I started this off. I started this off with the idea that if you thought about your favorite place in the world that you'd love to visit, and sometimes when you don't have the thing, when you haven't been there in a while, you said, "Oh, I just love to spend 2, 3 weeks here." But you know, you get to a certain point when it's just so much of it, not bad. It's so much of it that you're like, okay, I'm full. I'm full. I want to go home back to some structure so I don't have too much. That's how I wanted us to live life, is where you get through your day going, I'm full. And this conversation, I'm definitely full that we're having today. And I'm going to just touch one thing before we end this. And we have a lot of desserts to share with people after this. One thing I want to point out is Brandon, he touches it, and I want to touch this again in another conversation. NLP, they have an NLP, neuro-linguistic programming term they call nominalization. Nominalization. And it's the idea where words are so powerful. And Ray, you pointed out chopping wood, and everyone's pointed it out. But here's where I love what Brandon said about the person who said, I'm going through it. And they said, that's good. I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, if you told me you were stuck, I would have then give you some advice. But I love that because the verb, the thing with depression and people who go through depression, and if you talk to a truly depressed person where they're wanting to, you know, do the act, and Brandon knows this position, you know, he's dealt with a lot of people and so on and so on. Those people can't see an hour from now. If you ask them, they think their only option is to stop the pain because they're stuck. There's no movement. There's no option in their mind that this is going to get better. So the words create everything. I'm going through. That verb means I can keep going. When I'm stuck, to the subconscious mind, there is no option. I've run out of ideas. I've run out of possibilities. I'm stuck. And so if you can get that person to change it from death to dying, from dying to living, just change that whole narrative, we can get through. But anyway, that's a whole other conversation. That we're going to save that one for another meal because those are powerful things. So the concept in summary is being happy is an option, is a choice. We talked about so many things. Where are you spending your time? How much of the time you spend on things you shouldn't be doing it so well, useless things, efficiently, that shouldn't have been done at all. Check your bandwidth, do an inventory. How many have to do's? What's your category? Have to, get to. List all your have to's. If they're far outweighing your get to's, let's start switching that up. And the last bit is, what you say. If you say yes to me to meet me, and it's a have to meet me on Tuesday versus you get to meet me on Tuesday, tell me no. Because that hour and maybe 2 hours I'm taking up in your time, you just miss the get to do's, your workouts, hang out with your family. Yeah. So start taking inventory. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoy. Brandon, did you want to say something to close it out?
Yeah. So Charlie and Ray and you just touched on it together in just a different example, but that one word can sum some of that up, and that's sacrifice.
Mhm.
Right. Sometimes we have to sacrifice those, the have tos for the get tos, or the want tos, or the need tos. You can put any word there.
Mhm.
It's a necessary ingredient to everything we're talking about here,
Mhm.
right? In regards to our plan and being efficient.
Love it.
Great conversation today.
Yeah, great.
So
I'm full.
much,
I'm
so
full.
much.
I'm full. And let me, and I see Ray, when Ray gives me that look, he's looking up into the sky. He's got more ideas, but I can't have him feed us anymore. He's gonna have to hold that. And when Charlie's head's down and he's riding away, no, we gotta shut this down. All right, this barbecue, this breakfast is over, and we usually finish off the breakfast by sharing with you from our hearts 3 things that we want for you, that we want for everyone. And fellas, what is it? We wish them peace,
Peace,
love.
love. You got it, Brandon? Oh no, not today.
It's not doing it.
All right. Brendan usually gives us these fancy love things, but he's on his phone. Peace, love, and the last one is a little bit of soul.
Soul.
A little bit of soul.
That's
All right,
right.
everybody. We appreciate you. We appreciate you joining us. Welcome into our little private group, and we'll be back each month to give you some more goodness. And if any of us can help you in any way, reach out to any of us. If one of us appeal to you and you want to find out where Dr. Charlie's appearing, Brandon, Raymond, myself, let us know. The show notes, I'll have some information in the show notes, and we'll be back. Until then, have a great week. Have a great month.
All right. Take
Have a
care.
great day, guys. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.